Good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Dream Career Talk Show. Here on this show, we are going to have industry experts coming from various domains who will share their knowledge, their experiences, their challenges, their failures, and success so that it can help others. This show is going to help corporate professionals expand their context, get clarity, direction, hope, inspiration, and of course, the right steps to build their dream careers. Today's topic is very special. Today's topic is 7 steps from shame to being back in the game. We all do mistakes in our life. Some mistakes are small and some big. Some cost us very less, whereas some cost us huge cost. After doing mistakes, we all go through pain, guilt, shame. But does it help us to stay in that zone for long? While some stay in that zone for longer and they don't come back, some bounce back very strong and they build an empire around it and they start helping others around it. Now, today's guest, Somdatta Sarkar, after doing certain mistakes in her life and going through that same zone on which she wrote her book, 7 Steps from Shame to Being Back in the Game, is going to help us with how to come back, how to bounce back, and how to be back in that game. Somdatta Sarkar is a TEDx speaker, best-selling author of 7 Steps from Shame to Being Back in the Game. She is a visionary, an entrepreneur, and also a mentor. Welcome, Som. Welcome to the Dream Career Talk Show.
Thank you so much, Fatah, for having me here in your Dream Career Talk show, and really excited to have a conversation with you.
Same here, Som. Thank you. And to get started, why not we start with your journey? How did your life journey start? And especially talking about your career, how did your career get started? And wherever you have reached today, what are the steps that you took to get into the stage where you are right now?
Definitely. So when we talk about journey, the entire life is a journey, right?
Yes.
So let me share certain aspects of it and how this turn took, just like you said, how this career started. So just like majority of the people, I was into engineering and then got selected into MNC, and then uh, I was there in a job for nearly around a decade, and it was a very famous company, and it was just like every 9 to 5 goer, normal life, normal weekends, um, salary almost getting over before the month end. Then you think, when is the next paycheck is going to come? So it was normal life, just like majority of the people are living now even. So during those times itself, there were a lot of things happening. There were a lot of knocks on the door by life, and I was ignoring all those knocks. So one day, what happened? Slowly and slowly, gradually, life just slapped me hard because I was not, not responding to the knocks on the door to open the door and see a new world out there. So after going through that, realization, there was a huge decision that I took. That time, I did not know it was a huge decision, but the consequences were not in my control. But the decision was in my control. So
Mhm.
during those period, I decided to help few people because they reached out to me for some kind of help, etc. And I took a loan to help them. And later on, I came to know it was a fraud case. And then it was like a huge financial mess that happened. But Financial mess was not the problem, which I later on realized much later in life. Of course, when the financial mess was happening, I thought that is the problem, but the problem was something else. So, what happened during that time? A huge shift happened in my life. Slowly, my thinking pattern changed, my way of approach towards life changed, and sooner or later, when I was going through that phase, I realized I cannot go on like this. And that turning point came when I left my corporate career and started off working on my passion, on my something else which was totally different, which I have never thought in life. And I came into the self development industry and started coaching and mentoring people. So that is how the entire career shift happened, which started off in the IT industry and then later on switched to the self development industry. And now I'm still working in the self development industry as well.
Awesome. And you already a TEDx speaker now. We know that you are an author, a mentor, and also an entrepreneur. So, did you believe that this could happen in your life? And what was that
Absolutely.
major thing that helped you in this transformation?
So, absolutely not. Forget believe, I did not even know this is what I'm going to be someday or the other, because there is something known as mentoring or self development industry that was I was not aware of. So what happened was, when I was going through that financial crunch, I was going through a lot of emotional, mental pain, stress, depression, and all those phases in life, lower phases in life. And it was like I was already at the rock bottom. I cannot go beyond that. The only way to come out of it is move up. So one day I was, searching. I was just searching for that light at the end of the tunnel feeling. So I was
Mhm.
having that, and I was searching for some kind of solution, some kind of hope. So I was just Googling out things, and I happened to stumble upon something known as Vipassana. So when read that, I immediately applied and I went for that 10-day Vipassana course for the first time. That was one of the first turning points in my life. So when I came back from there, I was much calmer and I had some clarity, something that, okay, the next thing is I want to find a guide, a coach, somebody who can help me with some kind of direction in my life, because I was at, like, I was just swimming, I was just looking for a log of wood. I was drowning, not swimming, sorry. So then I had the social media accounts, but I never typically used that. So one day I happened to stumble across another post on LinkedIn where there was a full day webinar by a person named Dev Gadvi. So I attended the webinar, and at the end of the webinar, I had to make a decision to join a mentorship program. So that was again one of the life changing moments for me, decisions for me. And once I came into the mentorship, once I understood the power and the value of a mentor in your life, that was like, no looking backwards. So there are so many things I got to know that I did not know. And then
Hmm.
within 1 year of time, I quit my job. Then I launched my book, became the best-selling author, then launched my podcast, magazine, coaching, mentoring, did webinar, workshop, and so many things happened. Became the TEDx speaker recently, and things just happen one after the another. But it's just that, Fataki, those few decisions which I made, somewhere, some consequences were not good. But then again, I chose to make few other decisions whose consequences completely turned around my life.
Great, great. It's really nice to know the kind of transformation that has happened, going from the place where you were. And I think one something that profound you said was you were already like at the rock bottom and you could not go below that, so you had to come up, right? And that's important for people also to understand that when you are at a low stage, you can't go lower than that. What is the worst that can happen? You need to rise up, right? And that is very profound, Som. Thank you. And You spoke about some big decision that you made and then that changed your life. Are you comfortable talking about what was that big decision, or the thing that changed your life?
So we to just give a context, we actually make decisions every single day, every one of us, starting
Right.
from morning till night. We all make decisions. Now, for some it could be what clothes to wear, what to eat. Some could be like, marriage, financial investments, getting a job, getting a career. Every single day you make a decision.
Right.
So you can't like go every day without making any choices or decisions. We make it every day. Now the thing I realized was, it does not matter whether the decision is small or big, important or less important. While making the decision, we think that, okay, we are doing a great thing, we are making a decision. That is in our control, making decisions. But the consequences are absolutely not in our control.
Right.
So, whatever the consequence is, it is up to us how we perceive that consequence. So, first, yes, of course, there was a series of events which led me into a financial mess because I trusted few people, and later on I came to know it was not to be trusted. But I already made that decision. So, I had two choices: to sit there and cry and crib and let my life go along that, or I again made some decisions to take the charge of my life and decide enough is enough. Now, I cannot do the same things and expect a different results. I have
Right.
to do different things to get different results. So that is another second phase of decision that I took, to invest in the self development industry. Forget the industry, to invest in my self growth. Because when I realized ki, why did this happen to me? The knocks that I was talking about, life was giving the knocks, that was not about any external situations. That was about how much have I grown as a person in terms of everything: mental ability, financial knowledge, right? Uh, l- Knowledge about law in our country, knowledge about how I'm going to live my life, what am I doing in this job, if my passion is something else, if my earning is stuck here, am I doing something extra or different to earn more? So all these questions did not arise before that, but life was actually trying to say those things. So just like you asked, Key, what actually happened, so this actually happened. The financial crunch that happened was just just a door which opened through a very painful phase into the bright new phase of my life. It's just that I decided to make another choice.
Yeah. But before entering into the bright phase, how long was the dark phase in your life?
Oh, it was it was of course over around like 1 year or so. And I later on realized it is so bad. uh, it was just going on, and as you said, right, there was no guidance. So I did not know what are the mistakes I'm doing. I was doing the same mistake again and again. Like, just because some people does not mean you will not get cheated or you will not get this. So you trust everyone whom you know. But again, coming back to the point, you can trust all you want, but don't expect the consequences of that trust is under your control. So I learned
Mm.
that big time. So yes, the phase was very low. I used to feel ki, okay, what kind of 10 rupee vegetables if I have, I'll pass the entire week with that. And like, I could not say to anyone, not even my family or anybody, because I felt ki I will be judged by others. Because how can an educated girl and so-called smart girl make such stupid decisions in life? So while making the decisions, we don't know that we are making wrong decisions. Only the consequences tell us. So that is what happened during those phases.
Yeah. And I think from your book, I have read the kind of thing that you went through, like the dark phase, right? And I think you rightly said here, it's all about you trust, and you also have to see, because I personally have met a few people in my life who have gone through this, where they trusted in terms of the finances, right? Taking up loans for somebody on behalf of someone, especially in the corporate world. Somebody comes in pressure for my manager, for my colleague, or for my close friend, for his marriage, for her marriage. Like, people go ahead and then they become the people who actually go through the suffering later, right? And that's very important for them to understand where to use the trust. Yes, it's important to trust, but where you actually place your trust, and where you need to think more about whether it's going to like land up in the right way, or it's going to put you in a big trouble. And
Yeah, absolutely. And just like you mentioned, ki, there are so many people who are going through this phase. So when I wrote my book, I got messages, mails from various people from different platforms. I am going through the same thing. I'm going through the same thing. Then I came to know, okay, I am not the only one who is
only one.
actually undergoing the similar problem. So many other people are going through. And it is like these things happen every day. It's just that people don't choose to talk. Even if they choose to talk, it is mostly seen as a, oh my God, he or she, made such a stupid mistake and this and that. So they are labeled. They are victim and they feel more victimized, etc. So that's what happened.
Right. I think you rightly said here that a lot of people would do a mistake, but it's tough for them to actually go ahead and say it to others, because people will start judging. And I think in your case also, when did you disclose about this?
Disclose to.
Disclose to people around you, or when did people get to know about whatever went in your
So
life in
this is
terms of the
the, yeah.
darkness?
So the first, I told it to my mentor. That too after a long time, after joining the mentorship program, because I did not know whether I should even say it to anybody or not. So it was long after I joined the program and I shared it with him during a conversation or something like that. So that is when, because it was like it has become a part of my normal life to go through those phases, like uh, going to office in the normal happy looking everything is fine in the world sort of outlook, coming back, then going to the police station, then coming back, then thinking what to do now, what is this the kind of life I'm going to live, etc., etc., so many things. So it became a normal phase of life. But yes, so everything changed when I started going to Vipassana, when I started learning the things about my own self growth, about the places where I lacked, and started working on myself. Then I saw key things started changing. So this is how it began.
Okay, and in your book you talk about this as well. The it's very like, it's a feeling of shame when you are like not able to take care of yourself, and then going through these kind of places where you never wanted to go, and then the mistakes, that the decisions that we take basically, right? And in your book you have covered this. So what are these, like the 7 steps you talk about in this book? 7 steps from shame to being back in the game. So what are these 7 steps you talk about?
Actually, honestly, there are many steps. So the
Hmm.
7 steps are some of the steps that I actually applied on myself. Okay, and typically, like there are many, but these are most of the most basic and most core steps that I would suggest. Of course, in my book, if you've seen that, it is not just a theory book. There are a lot of exercises that I have given so that in every step uh, people can start analyzing what they are doing, start taking steps, because only just theory will not help. It's just like same thing, right? Just by watching YouTube videos my life is not going to change. So I need to take action. So typically the 7 steps which I speak in detail about is how to find the hidden meaning of any kind of situation or a problem a person is going through. There is always a hidden meaning and most importantly an opportunity in a problem. So even if we feel stuck, that means there is something hidden in it. Next is to get the clarity, not just about the situation, but also about self, about myself. If I am not aware about any clarity about myself, then how will I actually fix the situation or things around me? That is one thing. Then is, once you get the clarity, what all awareness do you have? Do you have awareness about every aspect in your life which helps you to live a better life, to be a better person? It could be any aspect. It could be your health, relationship, finance, uh, spirituality, all the legal technicalities, etc. How much awareness do we have? Like, for an example, until and unless you get into a problem which involves legal or law, etc., people don't even know what are the basic laws in the country. So
Right.
that's one of the things, because we are not never taught all these things in our school, right? The practical things which are needed, how to handle pressure, how to handle any kind of problem in life, we are never taught about these things. So awareness. Then starts the core transformation. Once I have the clarity, once I understand what is it that is the big gap area, then starts the core transformation of the step by step process. What are the possible things you can do in your daily life consciously to improve every single day, little person every single day? So that is the next step. Then there is a framework that I created, which actually helps you uh, to take one thing at a time, implement it, one thing at a time, implement it. So that is one. Next is your action counts. For
Mm.
example, our actions and our inactions both are responsible for what kind of life we lead. Not just
Right.
actions, even inactions, right? So we ignored that fact. So that is covered in this point. Then the next is how to stop making unwanted choices. So now we have lot of, like, we allow a lot of negative energies, toxicity, etc. in our life. How to remove those, what to be done, how to say no, how to know ki, okay, if you have these kind of people, how to move from this phase to the other phase. So all these steps have been shared over there, and then there are some of the bonus chapters, etc., on mental toughness, etc. So these are the 7 steps which I typically talk about with detailed explanation and the exercises.
Great. And there are a lot of people sharing some comments here. Some comments keep flowing in for you as well, Soma. And now, for one of the big decision came from a big yes, right, in your life. And you also mentioned about how important it is to say no. Now, how do people learn to say no? Because for some people, especially like me or others who are hard driven, it's very difficult when your friends, your colleagues, or people near to you, like they come to you and then you can't say no. So, how do you learn to say no?
This is one of the most you know important thing that I learned uh, during that phase, right? Because I was a person who typically did not use to say no, and saying no used to make me feel guilty. And this typically happens with majority of the people. If I say no, it is going to hurt that person, and you go yourself into a guilt phase, which is
Right.
not needed. So there are a few questions that you need to ask yourself. Okay, you need to ask yourself before saying yes or no, and this is for any kind of decision that a person can make. So typically, always, before responding anything crucial where it is related to yes, no, making a deal, etc., always take a pause, think, and first just ask yourself, is it really going to help you if you say yes or no in any manner? Like, is it really going to help you? Next is, let's say if you say no, is it going to end your life, or is it going to end the, it will be the end of the world? Next is there a other solution or other way to do it? Maybe not as attractive as it looks in the first option, where you are, you know pounding to say yes, but
Yes.
is there any other possibility, any other option, right? Next is, how is it going to impact both pros and cons? Let's say if you say yes. And most importantly, I would definitely like to say, always analyze when you're all logical, rational, every calculation is saying, say yes, 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 yes. Just feel what is the feeling that's going on in your stomach, in your gut. Is it like, pulling you and saying, just wait, just hold on, or you're not having a good feeling? Then go with that gut feeling, because your logic cannot, stand in front of that. So take a moment, take a pause, and then you make the decision. So it is not a black and white answer. You have to analyze it and, decide it.
Yeah. And when you say yes and then the trust is broken, right? How do you let it go? Were you able to let it go first of all?
At the beginning, no. But later on, yes, of course, because it's like, I think you all have heard the story, right? If there is a but there was this girl. Okay, the story goes like this: there were two roommates. Okay, and one roommate, the responsibility was to clean the dustbin every day. Okay, throw the garbage out. But one day it happened that she was not in a good phase and she did not do her job, and she did not clean the garbage. She said, okay, let it be. Za- it's not much of the garbage, so I will throw tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. And she actually kept it there. And slowly and slowly, it started stinking to the entire house. And it affected her roommate as well, started creating health problems as well. So, similarly, it's like that. It's more of how long will you hold that grudge? It is affecting you. You are creating that stink in your life. So, you can just forgive and just let go. Yes, may not trust that person again, that's a different thing, right? But you can't hold that grudge forever, because it will just affect you negatively. So that's the only thing.
Yeah, I think a very profound thing you said here, and I think we all agree to that, that the poison inside you will first kill you, right? The one that is going inside you, because the more grudge you hold, the more poison that it creates in your heart, and first it will kill you, and the opposite person may never even know, right? So yeah, and a lot of people, I'm sure, like you would have also gone through that stress because office was there and you had to go to different places to solve this particular issue, and you were going through a lot of financial challenges. Now a lot of people who go through certain challenges, especially like this, and they go through stress, and I've seen people getting confused between stress and depression, and they say, I have stress, I am depressed, I don't know how to handle it. And basically they are not able to handle it. So how do you differentiate between stress and depression, and what is the best way to maybe come out of it?
Well, Fatah, I am definitely not an expert to answer this question, because even it is very difficult to define this, because I don't know if you or others have actually heard even Sadhguru talk about what is stress. It is just we creating our own thoughts. Then I realized, when I look back and join the dots, we are playing with our own old memories.
Hmm.
That is done, that phase is gone. I made the decision, the people did this, I did that, etc., etc., etc. But that's there, I can't go back in the past and change. So what is happening is, I am replaying it in my mind like a movie. You replay the movie again and again. So since I'm replaying the movie, all the emotions I'm reigniting again. So that is what is, you know leading to anxiety, leading to stress, leading to worry, leading to everything. So all different words are different, but how people define it, how I realized it, which few of the things I have written in my book as well, just based on experience, is that anxiety is something that you anticipate something will or will not happen, which you are
Mhm.
not sure yet. And stress is something you just take burden on yourself, thinking ki, okay, why did I do this, why did it not happen? Typically the deadlines, right? Typically the pressure, typically the things that you don't want others to know, and if it comes out, what will happen, all these things. So what are all these? All these are judgments and perceptions that we make ourselves. So every single day, even I am learning and growing little by little, so I'm also, uncovering these things, that these are nothing but how we play with our memories basically. So that is definitely one. And depression is something, yes, it is a medical condition. If you say there is like clinical depression and there is non-clinical depression, etc., as I said, I'm not an expert. But what happens is, which I realized is, it is a phase where you can't pinpoint and say, hey, if this person behaves like this, then that person is going through a phase of depression or psychological problems. Because sometimes what happens, just by seeing in the outer side, you will not know what is happening within the person. So it is
Right.
like it is very tricky to say who is going through that phase. And that's why around you, always keep a watch for the people who are acting in a different way, maybe quiet, maybe not eating or anything like that, or maybe laughing too much, talking too much suddenly. So all these are things which typically it happens. First is, people cannot let things go easily. Another reason could be there are a lot of baggages inside where we keep on the carpet one after the another without cleaning that, that negativity, toxicity, or whatever you say. So it just piles up within us until and unless it is addressed. And other thing could be just, we actually are never taught all these things since childhood, and that's the reason we don't know how to handle our own thoughts, how to channelize our pain, anger, fear, worry, etc. And our inability to handle our thoughts, emotions, perceptions leads to depression, stress, anxiety, worry, whatever it is. So in short, if somebody is trying to work on these things, like people say, I am very stressed because of office work, I am so stressed because I have to meet the deadline, etc., like in a typical corporate career, in a typical sales people, right? They have so much of pressure. Okay, so let's say if something does not happen, your deal is not done, you get fired, what is the maximum going to happen? Earning will not come, which is fine. Is there any other way you can start earning? What is going to happen? Is it the end of your life? Is it the end of the world? Ask these
Yeah.
questions. Again, coming back to the point, we are never taught how to ask right questions to ourselves. So once you start asking the right question at the right time, you get the right answers. That's it. This is the fastest, easiest, and the most practical way to find the solutions to your problems. Yeah.
Great. I think some very good insights that you have shared here, and asking that question, very important question. What is it? Is it the end of the world? Because especially, it's not only about salespeople losing deals. It's also about corporate professionals. Post COVID, also we have seen a lot of people losing their jobs or not getting those hikes, bonuses, right? And they take it very close to their heart, and they start feeling this is the end, right? Losing the job, especially for many people, they take it as this is the end. Come on, job cannot be the end of your life. There are so many companies out there, there are so many opportunities out there, and it's all about how you channelize that, as you rightly said, and take it in the right direction so that you can get to the next stage in your life. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure, like, you would have cried at the time when you went through this phase. And
Yes.
did you express yourself fully when you were going through this stage of whenever this dark phase was?
So that's a very good question, Fatah. And before that, answering, let me just also address and thank Divya Shri, Debashish, Amit, and Abhijit. Thank you so much for being here. And yes, thank you for your wonderful comments. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. Expressed, not to others, of course, but definitely I cried when I was alone, because that helped me to, get on every day. What is crying? Crying is nothing, just an expression of a particular type of your emotion. Let's say somebody is shouting, angry, etc. What is that? It's an expression of one type of emotion. Let's say somebody is hugging someone, kissing someone. What is it? It is another type of expression. So I don't know why people make crying such a big deal, especially for men. Like, you are a man, you cannot cry. Why? A
Right.
man is not a human being. So they are
Right.
devoid of any kind of emotion, that means. So crying is nothing. See, there, I heard a beautiful saying that if you cannot um, express yourself fully when in pain, how can you express yourself fully when in happiness?
Mm.
So that was something really beautiful, because crying has its own benefits. I also did the same, and I realized ki, yes, you feel light. Yes, there was a phase where I felt completely numb. I did not cry, I did not feel anything. It was complete an up and down phase. So, in short, yes, crying has its own benefit. It releases toxins from your body, it makes you feel light, right? You can at least start thinking clearly. So, whenever a person, especially men, I would say, whenever you are going through such an upheaval of emotion, express. If you have to cry, if you want to cry, just cry. So, there is nothing, no barrier in it. It's just an expression of your emotion.
Right. And whenever you express, did it help you so? Because you went through such a dark phase. You had to go through that for a year or so. Right now, I have seen a lot of people. They don't even express their emotions, and maybe that is something that takes them longer to actually heal. Right. And how did that help you when you were able to express that emotions?
It is very simple. Yes, it helped. It helped because I could little bit every day. I was able to think, ki, okay, what can I do now? What can I do now? Because when you are, there are different ways of expressing. Some people journal. Some people just go into some kind of physical activity like running, you know, cutting vegetables. It could be anything. Different ways of expressions are there. Some shouting at somebody, some crying. So anything, but it helps in a manner ki it makes you light, and it gives a little bit of clarity. Okay, now I can think something else, because when you are carrying that baggage, when you're carrying that garbage within you, you have to vent it out somewhere. So yes, it helps. And anyone who is who feels ki I cannot cry, and typically men, I cannot cry, I'm a man, etc. Well, see, if you can't express, then what is the outcome of it? Are you happy? The biggest question. So that's what.
Yeah. And while the discussion, you also shared about you will have to observe people around you, because when there is something that's going as a dark phase in their life, there would be certain things which you can see as indicators. Because in the corporate life, I used to tell to people that whenever you are dealing with people, like, be careful, especially the managers, the people managers, right? You never know what they are going through in their life, right? And you putting more pressure on them on different things, not being able to identify what they are going through, it puts them into a bad phase. And how did you feel, so when you went to office, when you went to different places, and you felt that there is nobody to help, and nobody understands you, or not trying to even understand or deal in a way that you wanted?
So that's a very good question, Fatah. So here I did a little trick, because I expressed it to myself a lot. So I made it I ensured that nobody outside understands that. So
Mhm.
later on, when my colleagues later on now, when they came to know that this all happened, they asked me, we used to joke around with you, and did you feel any bad? I said no, it was absolutely fine, because those helped me, because I was expressing it to myself. And typically other people want help, because every person has a different style of expressing and handling things. Does not matter if I applied this method, it is going to work for somebody else. No. So around you, if you see people typically who are not able to express anything to themselves or somebody else, you will see a change in their behavior majority of the times. Their body language, the way of communication, uh, their way of eating, whether they are talking, whether they are becoming silent, whether they are talking too much, or they are just saying unnecessary things, etc. So there are many indicators. There are many indicators. They try to cut off from social uh, gathering. They stop talking. So there are many indications like this. So just keep an eye, keep a watch, but that does not mean that every person will have the same indicators. That's different. That's why I said it's very complex, and there is no like rule book for that.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you came out of this phase, and the first person you spoke to was your mentor, right? So, how important it is for having a right community, right friend circle around you when you are in these difficult situations?
Very important, in short. So when we talk about having the right people or the community, it might not always be your friends and family. Yes, we
Yeah.
are not an individualistic culture. We are a more of a family culture. It is
Right.
great, and uh, there is a lot of bonding, lot of involvement there, which is absolutely great. But let's say majority of the times, either the family goes in extreme cases, like either they worry too much out of love, protection, etc., which actually backfires, or they start judging the person too much, which also
Mhm.
backfires. So whatever the community is, whoever the person is, whether it's a friend, colleague, mentor, coach, family, etc., always try to find somebody like mindedness or people better than you. Because when you find people better than you, who have been there, done that, who have more experience than you typically, they are the ones who can actually guide you in an unbiased way, in a non judgmental way. So that
Right.
is what I would definitely advise.
And I'm sure, like the person you were in the dark phase, and today you are a much stronger person that we can see, right? And you also talk about a lot about mindset and mental toughness in your content, in your videos. How important is it to be having a strong mindset here?
It's like, how important it is to know who you are every single day. Like, when we talk about mental toughness, first, let's understand what it is. It is nothing but knowing how to handle any situations. Let's say if any situation is coming, which is problem, which is the worst pain in your life, how do you channelize that? How do you see the best possible opportunity, or what is happening through that pain? And this I realized, and I'm still realizing, this is one of the basic thing that we should teach our children, our kids, the future generation, from the childhood. Because
Right.
we bring them in such a protective environment ki any problem means it is a no no. How will you ever walk the path if you are afraid of problems? So when it comes to mental toughness, it is not a big magical word. It is a very simple word, knowing how do you deal with your problems, how do you handle your problems, how do you channelize when you are going through a tough situation, how do you channelize your energy, emotions, and be seen. That's it. But we have actually you know all these things for majority of the people seems new, and it typically looks like this is a new subject I should learn, but it is something that we should learn since our childhood. Unfortunately, our education system has never been like that. But hopefully, in the because of the advent of self development industry and the new initiatives taken by new unconventional schooling system, they are teaching these things. So yes, when it comes to mental toughness, etc., would advise everyone to start investing time, energy, effort in your self growth. You will you will be surprised after some days that where you have reached, what kind of mindset you have developed. So you would be surprised in your own growth. So that is what I have to say about mental toughness.
Okay. And what role does gratitude play in these kind of situations when you are in the darkest phase, when you are going through so much of pressure, pain, right? What role does gratitude play here?
Biggest, like, even whatever the challenge, whatever the problem is, I am still alive. I have the opportunity to fix it and have a better life. It is as simple as that. I'm having drinking water. I'm just having a roof over my head. That's the biggest. If a person can live in gratefulness every single moment, okay, my life is going in a wrong way because of my actions, inactions, my decisions, consequences, etc. But does that mean everything is going bad in the world? No. So just imagine, comparatively, we are living right now in a place which is far better than few generations how our ancestors used to live, right? Comfort, luxury, feasibility, convenience, everything. But those are like, we never think of all those things. So let's say when you are going through a very challenging phase in your life, can you just be grateful of one aspect, that you are still alive and still have the chance and the opportunity to just open the door to a new life? So that's one of the biggest thing that everyone should keep in mind.
Right. And you mentioned some that you did not express in your office to your colleagues or to your family members and all of that. And what if there are people, because I know there are people who have gone through similar challenges, right? So what if people get to know, and most of the people are afraid of criticism. I'm sure you would have also been afraid about it. And what if people start getting to know and there is a lot of criticism around? How do you handle that?
So it's actually a very simple. It's again mind game. It's like how you play with your emotions. So don't make your emotions too serious. Play with them, just like how you play video game, right? So that is one. But there is a very small tactic or hack I would love to give everyone. Whenever you face any kind of, let's say ki some person get to know, and you are sure ki if this happens I will be criticized, I will be judged, and my life is going to get hell, etc., just add these three words in front of every problem you have in front of you. So first I would suggest, make a list of all possible, um, your apprehension of all the problems that you are about to face, okay, all the criticism, judgment, etc., and just add three words in front of it. So what if? So when you put so what if, that person will judge me, so what? Then you answer, see if you are able to answer. So then it becomes easier, because nothing is important, than how you perceive your problem than others will do. Like, you are the only biggest critic of yours. Even though if others do it, you can still handle, provided you know how to handle yourself. That's it.
Yeah, and here again on the follow up of the same, whatever you mentioned, one is criticism coming from outside, but I believe that's not the biggest problem for many people. I have seen people go into self criticism, and it takes years for them to come out of it, and some people may not even come out of that because they hold that mistakes of their, they hold that decision of their, and they keep like self beating themselves, and they don't move forward in their life. How can somebody handle self criticism?
So it actually leads to a phase of guilt and shame. When you are in a phase of self criticism, it just leads you to the guilt and shame phase. And some people don't even know they feel guilty every single day. It just becomes a habit, like how you brush your teeth every day. So it is not about ki, they are holding it for a long time. It is about, if the person is holding, you know what is it that you are trying to achieve by holding that grudge against yourself for such a long time? What is it going to happen? Are you going to get an award from somebody by, thinking if I beat myself up, then I will be, good in front of someone, something will happen, some people will recognize me, etc. No. The answer is no, because sooner or the later you will get fed up of this nature of, the way you are handling yourself. So it's a phase of which directly leads to guilt and shame. And once it is the, if you see in that psychological chart, it's the lowest vibration a human being operates. So whenever a person is going into that phase, it's a trigger point. Again, see, there's a problem, right? And it is a triggering point life gives you to tell you ki, what is it that you need to do now to get up above this level. So these are all triggering points. If you're feeling guilt and shame, think about the root cause. Why is it happening? It is not the root cause, it's a symptom. So what is it that you are doing or not doing? So that is the part which actually leads to that phase.
And we all use this, not everybody, like there are many people who use, especially the spiritual leaders, all of them, they use this powerful tool called visualization. They visualize the brighter side of things, they visualize the brighter future and all of that. Does it help even when you are going through the tough phase, and how easy or tough it is to visualize that bright future there?
It is actually simple and not simple. Means visualization, let's say somebody is in a very good mood, okay, in a good state of mind, and they visualize the best phases of life. So it is very easier to visualize. They know for sure ki this I want in my life, and this is what they visualize. When somebody is going through a challenging phase, it becomes difficult for them to visualize, because all mind games are being played. They are in
Right.
that phase, they are beating themselves up and all these things happening. So yes, visualization again is not a, it's not a living thing that it will understand ki what phase you are going through. So it is up to us. If you It works only if there is no doubt in it. So it works continuously in a phase key where you are 100% sure, when you know you are living that. And it's not just about mind, your body is also involved. In fact, your body is much more powerful than your mind, because when you are in a meditation phase, you feel through your senses in the body. So when you are visualizing, your body is also feeling the same. It's not just mind. So all the senses in your body feels that. But what happens when doubt creeps in? Again, the mind games are played. So your senses goes for a toss. So it does
Right.
not work. So majority of the people says, okay, it does not work. Okay, nothing happens. I imagine, I think, but nothing happens, because you're just doing it for the sake of doing. So it takes little bit of conscious effort to do what's needed, not to stay in the past memories. Like kal jo hua, you can't go back and change it. All you can change is today and tomorrow. So just stop playing with your own thoughts, and do what's needed to be done. That's it.
Right. And you host this podcast called Intensify Life, and you also have a magazine called Intensify Life. What is Intensify Life all about?
Okay. So my podcast name was actually Intensify Humanity Podcast, which I renamed to Intensify Life. And my magazine is Intensify Life Magazine. So why Intensify Life was, it also came, very naturally to me. Um, Typically, I'm a very intensified or a passionate person. Means whatever I do, I go all in. Be it traveling, be it cooking, be it adventure, be it whatever it is. So, and during those phases, I also realized slowly that we tend to intensify every aspect of our life in day to day life. What are those aspects? Worry, stress, anxiety, all the words that you mentioned. We actually intensify all those aspects in our daily life. But we
Right.
forget to intensify gratitude, okay, being thankful, being in a state of appreciation. We forget to intensify the other aspect of our life. So let's imagine that if the world, every human being intensifies their life in little aspect, let's say on the health aspect, you are taking care of your mind, body, soul, everything. Somebody is intensifying their life on the positive aspect of relationship, somebody is on self growth, somebody is on finance, somebody on spirituality. So if I'm able to intensify, help people intensify their life just 1% at least, it causes a ripple effect. And once it
Right.
causes a ripple effect, it is like my mission is to intensify as many lives as possible on this planet. And that is going to
Wow.
intensify the humanity, which is going to, again cause the ripple effect across the entire planet. So the problem is not with animals, plants, or any other. The problem is with human beings. So once we intensify our life on the positive aspects of the human beings, everything just bombards on the positive aspect. So that is the entire idea behind that. I want to intensify life of people.
Wow, that's amazing. And one special question I have for you here is, you come with lot of wisdom. So where does this wisdom come from?
I don't know that. I don't know if I have a wisdom or not. So I can't
But what
answer that.
helps you to gather so much of knowledge, and what helps you to think in a structured way and then act in the right ways at the right time? What is that
Thi-
helps you?
Thinking I can say, but knowledge I can't say, because I know people, I know my lot of friends, etc. They have more knowledge than me. They have more information than me. So my GK or my vocabulary or knowledge part, I'm not on the intellectual side. So I have a lot of people who are on the intellectual side. So knowledge I cannot answer, but thinking I can answer. Maybe because um, since a long time, I don't know when, I have this natural ability to ask, some specific questions. And I now realize, when I look back, people used to get irritated with me. Why are you asking so many questions? Why are you asking this question? Even in my office, I was being asked, why are you asking this question? You've been given this work, do it. So I wanted to know more about it. So I have a typical quality of asking the maybe the right question in the right time. And the mentees, the other people whom I have spoken to, whom I have mentored, coached, they have also given, the testimonials, the reviews, and they also share messages. Because of your question, I was able to get clarity. Because of your question, this actually, opened up in my life, etc. So maybe from the thinking aspect, to answer your question, Fatah, uh, maybe the quality of asking the right question at the right time is something that helps to, move towards the solution or something like that. And it's not just me. Anyone can do it. All you need is, uh, whenever you are going through problem challenge, or let's say not even problem challenge, any incident in life, just pause and ask yourself a better question. Don't ask yourself a dumb question. If you ask a dumb question, you will get a dumb answer. So always ask the right question to get the right answer. So ask that question to yourself first. So once you put this in practice, those questions will help you get the answers. So maybe that's what I can answer related to your
Yeah,
question.
yeah, I think it helps. And I think very important point you shared here is about you having that habit right from the beginning about asking those questions, right? And I believe that is what we need to help our kids with, curiosity, right? And asking the questions which we stop many a times, right from the school, in the education, in the houses, right? We stop them. So allowing them to be curious, asking those questions, because only when they ask the right or the wrong questions, they develop that habit of understanding what are the right questions, And if they are able to ask the right questions at the right time to themselves, and as a coach or a mentor, you are, when you ask these questions to your mentees, the right questions at the right time and being able to get the right answers, that's where you help them, right? So I think it was an amazing discussion, and a lot of people here were sharing some comments, their thoughts. So it has been amazing conversation. And before we end this conversation, so what is that last piece of advice on this conversation, on this session, you want to give to people?
It's very simple. Every day we make choices. What to do with the choices is completely up to us. Just because the consequence of the choice happens to be good, so we are happy. Consequence of the choice does not turn out good, so you can't blame anything because the choices are also made by you. So whether you make a choice for the good or the better, it's completely up to you. So make a choice and take the ownership of the consequence as well. Simple. And of course, as I keep saying, problems are everywhere. Problems will always come.
Right.
But when life itself is temporary, how can problems be permanent? So
Wow,
that's
this is
from my end.
profound. This is profound. When life itself is temporary, how can problems be permanent? And when you start thinking in this direction, when you start working in this direction, I think life can change for better. So thank you, Som. Thank you for being here and helping us by decoding that 7 steps from shame to being back in the game. Right. And thank you for being a wonderful guest. And a lot of people watching us, and some of them will be watching later on the recording. Thank you for being here and watching us and following the conversation, and for your wonderful comments. Thank you for all of you for being here,
So
right?
I
And
just want to
thanks a
say
lot.
thank you to all these people: Divyashri, Amit, Abhijit, Dinesh, Prashant, Sonal. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your lovely comments and presence over here. And thank you, Fatah, for having me on your show. You are doing amazing, and congratulations once again for becoming TEDx speaker as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And for people who are watching us, continue to stay tuned in the coming up sessions, because we are going to bring up more speakers, more people with their experience, their knowledge, so that they can share not only their successes, they are going to share here also about their failures, about their experiences, about their journey, so that it can help you to build your dream career. So until we catch up with the next show, have a great day and good night.